Is that baby food?
Baby food? They're goldfish, bro. Yo. These are delicious little fake cheese snacks in the shape of fish. Hey, one of the coolest things about having kids was when you realize my wife used to carry snacks in her purse at all times, like when our kids.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, as a dad that always likes to eat junk food, I'm like, hey, what do you got in your purse? She's like, snacks for the kids. I'm like, can I have a few? Like graham crackers or something. I was like, I need some graham crackers, you know?
At least you always have snacks. True.
She would always fight me, though. No, those are for the kids. And I'm like, but I'm hungry. I need snacks.
Yeah. I want some purse candy. I'm going to text my wife.
One time, make fun of my wife. One time we were somewhere. There's been two instances. We were showing up to a place where they had to search her purse, and she pulls a slingshot out of her purse. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why do you have a slingshot in your purse? She's like, she tells me this whole elaborate story. So she would like keep random shit. And it wasn't for her to shoot. Like she took it from me because I used to torment the kids in the house, like shooting things at them. So she hid it in her purse and then forgot about it.
Oh.
And then there was one time too, we went somewhere and she pulled out like a spatula. And I'm like, why is there a spatula in your purse? How did you even know that wasn't in there? Like, I don't understand that. I won't let her live that one down though.
I should probably, we need to say hello to everyone. There's a lot of people here tonight, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
There is. Yes.
Gmail.
Lots of cool people in there.
Joel survived. Absolutely.
Hughes, Hamilton.
Billy
Fish is in there.
Yeah.
Clive, Troy Belding, AIDS Garage Gaming.
Jesus Fish.
Ted Cook. Everybody's in here. What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Hello.
I was trying to, how do I switch accounts? Great. I was
Adams playing with his computer. He's trying to send himself an email because he has this epic picture that he took today.
I was trying to convince Ted to go to the symposium.
Yeah, I think Ted would have a good time at the symposium.
Good to see you, Matt.
Super laid back. I'm excited for the symposium for sure. Super laid back. Lots of great educators. Lots of great influencers, and it's definitely turning into the who's who of HVAC event. I'd have to say. I really would. Like when it comes to prominent non-sales minded people, the HVAC training symposium that Brian Orr puts on is definitely becoming the event of HVAC for sure.
Cool.
It is, man. This last week, last week I was on the show in a hotel room. I traveled out to Stone Mountain, Georgia to go to Heatcraft Refrigeration and do some like filming and some videos and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome time, but I don't know how these people that travel around all the time do these like super short trips, because I flew out there, got barely any sleep, and I filmed for like 7 hours straight and then flew back home. And I was exhausted. Like, and all I did was talk.
Well,
I was just
we were taking a bunch of pictures of random people in the airport.
That I was. At Ted Cook, I sat next to you on the airplane, bro. I wish I could have gotten a picture of Ted.
Oh, yeah.
Cook. I wish I could have, because it looked just like Ted Cook. Dead ringer. I was like, seriously, but I couldn't get a picture of him because that was awkward. But I did get a picture of Bill Spohn because Bill Spohn was on the same plane too, and he was sitting across the room.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I took a picture of him, and Adam's all, stop being a creep.
But I gotta say, Bill actually found your twin
doppelganger.
As well. Yeah, that was funny. That was awesome.
Ty was doing some training I saw for Emerson Copeland. Ty said short trips are not the best, and they aren't. They're just exhausting. And mine, you know what? The other thing too is I was just on Saturday. I was just doing filming and stuff, right? And I just talked for 7 hours, just having conversations with people. Like it was real low key, but you don't realize how exhausting that is. Yeah. Like it was just exhausting. It's crazy. I don't know how these guys do it.
I like my keys high, not low.
Oh yeah.
Oh sweet.
Is that the case?
Oh hell yeah. Hold on.
So what's up with you, Joe?
Look at this. Look what I get.
No, let's see what.
See, you look at that. You got the goldfish too. I made you feel good.
Are you serious?
And I got
gold.
Oh my! It's snacks delivered to me.
There you go.
What is that?
Popcorn.
Oh, that's a weird looking popcorn.
You need to have kids, Joe.
Yeah, I know, right? What's going on in chat here? When in a call today, duct under concrete floor in basement, 50 degrees coming out air handler, but 62 at last register out floor, even after hour plus runtime. Domestic water lines run under floor.
That's a bit too complicated for a question for the overtime show.
Well,
I didn't even hear it, but just listening to you read it, I'm like, whew, that's too much.
It's just, like I don't come across too much basement duct unless it's in a pool setting, indoor pool setting. But like, there could be all kinds of shit. Like, does it have indoor flooring? Is that on? Is a duct disintegrated? Is there water in the duct? If the duct's not insulated, maybe it's getting the cement, the concrete temperature.
You ever notice how when you try to answer someone's question, like for instance, someone asks a question on Facebook, and I'm not saying the person that just asked you that question, Joe, was doing anything wrong, but the point I'm trying to make is when someone asks a question and you try to answer it, and then as you're typing out a response or you're verbally saying something, you start to realize there's so many variables that you check without even thinking about, someone asked me for some help on a refrigeration system, and I'm like typing out an answer, and then it's like, oh, but he needs to make sure that his pressure probes are zeroed out. He needs to make sure that this is right here, this is right here. And it's all this stuff that I do in my head without even knowing that I'm doing it.
I tried creating like flow charts for service, and I start going through it, and I'm like, they start getting like, this big, and you're like, holy crap. But the thing is, when you do it a lot, your mind goes very quickly through all these steps.
Like, yes.
Bing, 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 but like to try to explain all those steps to somebody, it's exhausting and hard to do.
So, when I film my videos, like it's a service call. It's not me going out there thinking like, okay, I'm going to teach someone how to do this, this, and this. No, it's how my brain works. So oftentimes people will email me or they'll message me and say, well, you didn't do this, or I'm disappointed that you didn't do this. And it's like, no, I didn't need to do that because I heard that it was running over here. I just didn't get it on camera. Like there's so much that happens that you don't even, it's kind of crazy when you think about all the knowledge that we as HVAC techs have. And we like, if anybody's like me, they don't even realize that they have it. Like you just start doing things and it's just like, oh yeah, I did check that. And I did check that.
And sometimes it is even just experience like that. Even that duct question, like offhand, I'm thinking disintegrated duct because I've seen it. I'm pretty sure a lot of guys seen it too. If you're not using the right duct and who knows how old it is, it's probably disintegrated in that ground. So, and there's probably water problems. There's probably water getting in. You're probably getting the heat from the water. Like, the concrete, if it's not insulated, you're probably getting heat from the concrete. I think the infrared camera is your best friend there. If you could get like the temperature of the concrete and like the duct, maybe at that last register, it might tell you something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So let's address the elephant in the room. Where's Bill?
Yeah, where's that guy?
Bill is living down by the river in a converted van that has cinder blocks for tires. And Bill's just living in a van now. He's van life in it.
Ding.
No, he's homeless. That's the truth.
That's what I'm saying. He's van life in it. He's homeless.
Bill,
better to do.
He's telling Cyborg, I'm not there because I insulted Joel's crew neck shirt.
Are you wearing a crew neck? Oh, you are wearing a crew neck today. That's right.
A little one, a little one.
Yep.
Where's that picture, Adam? What are you going to show me? I didn't see this picture yet.
Hey, should we link to Clive? He just said he wants to come in.
Yeah.
Sure. You can come in.
So another thing I wanted to talk about too is it kind of goes in line with people talking about troubleshooting things and especially when technicians call you for help. There's a butthole in the background, Adam.
Hey, Chevy.
There's literally a butthole from a dog in the background.
All right, guys, listen. My wife just came in here right now and she's like, she overheard me from the other room and she's like, so the other day I was going to talk to you about, I was wondering if you guys have talked to Clive in a while because I haven't heard anything about Clive and I was just wondering what's going on with Clive.
Whoa.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's funny.
Hey, Mike.
So she's watching. I don't know. She's clear something.
That's funny. Yeah, let's see if he clicks on. But I wanted to talk about, when you're a technician and like the best way I can describe it is like situational awareness. Like if you're doing something and you do a task, let's just say that you learn how to install a thermostat. I don't expect you to be an expert after you install it one time. You install it 2 times. Okay. You're getting better. 3 times. All right. It's time to start remembering some things. You know, third, fourth time, you need to start thinking. You need to start understanding what's going on. Same thing, like you're installing a motor. You know, every time we install a single phase motor, we put a new capacitor on it, right? If it's a PSC. Okay. So you start thinking in your head, you know, you go to install a motor and then you walk away. Well, did you change the capacitor? It has one. Well, you know, like it's frustrating when people don't pay attention to what's going on. You know, they can do a task and then they just forget, you know, and then the next time it's like, how many times have you done this? I'm going to make fun of Bill right now because in talking with Bill, you know, me personally, when I drive somewhere, by the second or third time, I don't need a navigation anymore. I know how to get there. Like, and so, you know, it's kind of funny because Bill, you know, he's not here, so I can make fun of him because he uses navigation to get home every day. And it's like, come on, bro, you don't know how to get home. And he's like, yeah, but he just turns it on.
Well,
but
he also works like 4 hours away from his house.
That's true. I'll make fun of him on that one. But yeah, people really need to be paying more attention when they're doing tasks. And there's nothing more frustrating than to teach someone something. And, you know, okay, they didn't learn it the first time. Then the second time you explain it again. But then the third and fourth time, they're not grasping the concepts at all. You know, it's like you need to take some initiative here and learn.
Yeah.
Learning is good. And listen, there's unlimited amount of resources to learn, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
The thing is, it really, you can learn whatever you want to learn, and it's your responsibility to learn, right? Elon Musk became a rocket scientist by YouTube. I think.
True.
I'm kind of making it up, but I've heard.
No, I think you made that one up. He's the genius in general. But Brett had asked me a question to ask Heatcraft, and he's asking if I asked it while I was there. No, it didn't come up, but you'll have an opportunity to ask him soon, Brett, because we'll talk soon. But yeah, there was just so much going on. It was so hard.
What did happen there? Anything interesting or?
No, it was really cool. I got to go to their research and development lab and tour through all the top secret stuff. So that was really neat, being able to see how they test equipment and different things and the variables. Like, you wouldn't even realize how much thought and engineering goes into selecting a fan blade for a fan motor. Like, they were explaining that and how many different tests they have to do and environmental chambers they have to put things in. It was really interesting. And then I got to tour their custom operations lab where they make custom equipment and custom different stuff. And it's interesting. So Heatcraft Refrigeration Products is typically a refrigeration manufacturer, but they actually do some air conditioning stuff too. A lot of people don't realize that. So they were showing me all some of their built up systems, and it's pretty interesting. And then we just filmed a bunch of videos and stuff that'll pop up on my channel in the future. We got to edit and stuff. It'll be a whole process, but
cool. Clive.
What is up, Clive?
Good evening.
Evening.
Long time no talk.
Yeah.
It is indeed a long time. I've been working away.
Yeah.
How's that going? How you liking that, Clive?
The work's finished now, but it was just basically eating weekends. It wasn't I couldn't actually join in much.
Yeah.
Long hours.
That was was it the festival?
It was the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. We're doing all the lighting on it, and it was just much bigger this year. There was just about twice as many lights. It was quite a complex job.
Nice.
It's cool. There's a lot of moving parts. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I saw some of your clips and stuff showing different process. And I remember it from last year too. I think you did it last year too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. Yep. I've done it for about the last.
Seeing it, but watching, all the amount of people that are working together and everything is very interesting, and the whole process you guys go through.
Yeah. Cool. The main thing is we get on well together. It's a job that I still do because I quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's actually just like working with friends, which is good.
How much of that technical side of it do you actually have to know?
Basically, all the power distribution and all the lighting equipment repairing to pretty much, sometimes component level, usually just at a board level in these units. And if any other technical problems arise in other departments, that as well. Basically, fixer of everything.
Fixer of everything. That sounds like a stressful job.
Yeah.
It's not that stressful because I'm comfortable with doing it. And to be honest, this is the first year we had mostly actually waterproof lights, which is quite nice.
Oh,
But they were all mostly LED based this year, which is a really major move towards LED, including
wow.
like 1,000 watt LED panels inside them. And they were just super reliable. It was all new equipment, so they actually told me you're not allowed to open some of these lights if they break down, which is a shame because some of them just were really, really interesting.
As in, they were gonna send them back to the manufacturer if they broke down.
Yes, they were still under warranty, but they also, in some instances, they just didn't want me opening them and showing the insides, perhaps, in videos.
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's funny.
The secrets.
You guys ever? I'd be kind of curious if your thought on this too. I was having a conversation with my wife this last week. It was a fight. We had a fight, guys. We had like a legit
excellent.
fight. No, we were having a discussion, and I was trying to get across to her because sometimes, and I think this might have something to do with like the technical side or who knows, but it's really hard to express, like to verbalize the stuff that I'm thinking sometimes. Like when it comes to explaining something or the thought process, like for instance, a coworker will say, hey, we're doing this job. Let's do it this way. Or what if we do it this way? And sometimes I've thought the job through so much and I've planned it out in my head that when they ask like, hey, how about if we change everything up and just do this because it's going to be easier, and it's like, no, but then they're like, well, why not? And it's like, I can't tell you why, but I know that's not going to work because I've thought this through so much and I've planned everything out that it just throws a wrench in everything to try to change even the simplest step.
The crew chief in the two is like that. He gets something in his head, and even when you can see a much easier or better way of doing it, he just is so stubborn that he's decided it's going to be done that way, and that's the way it's done. And it's kind of, you have to negotiate sometimes to actually meet a balance.
And sometimes I'm okay with changing things up, but it's the last minute changes that throw everything off because there's so much planning that goes into things. Now, I can relate the way that my brain works, though. I can relate that to normal life stuff too. Like I'm having a conversation with my wife and, and we're talking about something and I'm like, I can't explain why, but I know that it's not going to work. Like my brain has already figured out so much of it, but it's hard to verbalize.
She wanted to like cook breakfast, like cook eggs on the hood of your truck.
No,
but one small change to a job can knock everything out of sync. It can change the whole material list. It can have knock-on effects that maybe they thought this is an easy thing to do right now, but they haven't considered the long-term effects in the job that it's going to cause an incompatibility later on.
Yeah, and that's a great, yes, that is part of the reason why, but it's just really interesting the way that my brain works because I think about everything so much in depth before I go to do things, even the simplest tasks. Like for instance, we're traveling somewhere and I've thought the whole plans out and I've booked everything and I've set it all up in a certain way to where, it's just all going to flow and it's going to work. And it's hard for me to verbalize though. When someone asks me, well, why'd you do it this way? And it's like, I can't quite remember, but I know I did it for a reason and I know it's going to work.
I think most of us do that.
Yeah.
I
so
do
it's
it.
Not just me.
No, definitely not you. I think it's just standard for that. I think it's that autism thing creeping in again.
I'm sure it is, dude. Did I tell you that I don't think I did, but my sister was actually diagnosed on the spectrum. So it does kind of make it kind of all come to fruition there. So I'm sure there's something there.
A lot of people are. It's normal.
Yeah. I think that autism in general, 20 years from now won't be called autism anymore. And we'll actually have names for all the different facets of autism. Like right now, I think it's just a general term. And I think because we don't have a name for everything yet. And then 20 years from now, I think we'll all have names for all these different weird issues. And different
I mean, the thing is, should there be a name for everything? Or
no, not necessarily. I mean, I think it's important to understand too that we're all unique and we're never all going to be the same, and none of us should be the same.
And that's what they're doing is like, hey, you're a little bit different than other people, so let's put a name on it. But think about all the things that have come out in the last 20 or 30 years. Like, was there really a syndrome or a disease called restless leg syndrome previously? You know what I mean? Like, did people really have that issue?
Do I really need a name for the fact that whenever I'm sitting down, my left leg shakes continuously all the time to where my wife says, stop shaking. And I'm like, it just does that.
Did they invent a pill, you know, to
I
sell?
ain't taking
Or?
a pill for my fucking shaking legs. I just shake my legs. It makes me feel good. So,
Yeah.
But I genuinely, my family goes nuts when we're sitting somewhere. They're like, you're shaking the whole table. And I'm like, I didn't even mean to. I just,
So you have restless leg syndrome?
I don't know. It's never been diagnosed, but my legs shake all the time, dude.
I think you should see a doctor.
I don't need to see a doctor. I don't want to take medicine. I'm good. I'm good.
I tend to shake the leg as well a wee bit. You know, if you're sitting on a stool, you'll tend to just bounce your legs up and down a bit, just continuous movement. I've noticed that in other technical friends that they're always slightly hyperactive and they're always just some sort of movement. That and things like just rubbing your head continually through your hair, your hands through your hair, or just rubbing your face quite strongly at times. Lots of little traits that are exhibited.
I think that a lot of it has to do, and I'm not a doctor, and my thoughts are probably completely wrong, but I think a lot of it has to do with just in general. I'm talking about men in general, that I feel like, you know, we tend to bottle things up. We tend to not deal with emotions. We tend to, and I think there's repercussions for a lot of that stuff. And I feel like different things that we do, different ticks that we have, or whatever you want to call them, have a lot to do with the fact that we're not generally, a good majority of us, I would say, are not generally good at verbalizing things and talking about feelings and different stuff like that. And I think there's repercussions for that.
For a long time, I had like, I know this sounds whatever, but I had like an oral fixation where it's like I was always either biting my nails all the time, or I was like chewing on the inside of my lips, or I need to have gum or something. Like I needed something at all times, and it was, you know, annoying. And that was another thing, like smoking or something. That's part of it too, right? So I don't know, but I think. Go ahead.
Is that not just a sort of fidgety habit some people have?
Yeah.
My daughter handed me one of those fidget things, and it actually really does help me. One of those things that it's like a cube and it has all these different functions. They click and they push and they have tactile feeling to them and sounds and different stuff. And I play with those things all the time now. Just kind of gives me something to do with my hands.
Do you ever play with the engineer's one, get the ratchet and spin it out and spin it round and round, just without even really thinking about it? Or particularly the ones with the open end ratchet, where the little spanners, the fixed size one, that you stick your finger through it and just end up furling it in your finger.
I do similar stuff like that with just a normal ratcheting service wrench or something like that. Yeah, I play with those.
Wrench, I do that all the time. You take the bit on it, you're just like,
it's just it calms the mind sometimes. Someone posted, some people are saying like ADHD. I'm sure there's a name for it. And some people are saying, someone else said something really interesting too.
Jimmy Legs.
Where's it at? Oh, caffeine. Caffeine might be, caffeine certainly has a lot to do with it, but surprisingly, caffeine, I'm sure it's part of the addiction. Who's calling?
Sorry, guys.
Oh, I was like, wait, is there like a secret guest coming on or what? I'm sure caffeine has a lot to do with it, but caffeine also at times, it just depends. Caffeine can calm me down at times too, at different times. It depends on like the amount of stuff going on in my brain.
I've had it where I could, you know, have like a full day, drink a Red Bull, sit on the couch and fall asleep.
Yeah.
There was a good question in chat, and S. McLeod actually said a good comment. A guy was talking about vibration and noise of line sets. Have you guys did anything for that in the past, like for split systems or anything like that?
The noise from like the
compressor
going through it,
line sets, anything just vibrating inside, stuff like that.
Oh, that's a good question. I used to have that problem before I really knew how to solve that problem with the house I used to live in. It was a 2-story, and it was the way that, knowing what I know now, it was the way that they ran the line set, and they didn't have any kind of a buffer, and it was just a shitty way to run it, just right in the wall next to my master bedroom.
Right. And you know, I think from my past, from when I see any line set that's hitting the wall or drywall is gonna, you know, make a noise.
Yeah.
I think compressors not having proper grommets will make a noise.
Yeah.
What else?
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot
vibration
that goes into you know, having bushings going through
Yes.
the studs when the line set's going down through to keep the liquid line from rubbing up. I mean, that's going to solve leak problems. That's going to solve vibration issues. There's all kinds of stuff.
A big thing too is like if the condenser's on a bracket, like a steel bracket bolted to the
It's
building,
going to resonate. Yeah,
for sure.
Vibration pads. I'm a big believer of vibration pads. And actually, I think there was a couple manufacturers that actually recommend, I could be wrong, I believe hearing that they want a couple 90s or whatnot before you're penetrating to make that kind of like, you know, that deflection, that noise dampening, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know. I've never heard that, but I do know, like I definitely have mini splits. They have a minimum line length that they want you to use.
Yes.
Because you'll hear, you know, you'll hear the noise of the line set. For
so
sure.
And you could always,
funny.
sorry, Chris, you could always put a muffler. There's mufflers you can install. I'm pretty sure you guys
The
all
problem
know
with
that.
mufflers is people think they're a dryer because they're dumb.
Yeah, you can't. No, mufflers on discharge, suction, different ways. And then there's always a blanket. You can always put a blanket on the compressor. It doesn't come with one. For
Seriously
noise.
though, the blankets now compared to the ones like 20, 15 years ago, whatever, they are night and day, dude. Like,
yeah. That whatever they used.
You know what when I see blankets though on stuff,
Yeah.
it just means black widows. It just means there's going to be black widows all inside that blanket. And as you're trying to undo all the Velcro to get it off the 50 different things, I'm like, when's it going to jump out at me? This motherfucker's going to jump out and bite me.
Yeah. Edgar, Lizgar, good to see you. He's saying you can install muffler for those problems. Carrier recommends. See, Carrier recommends. Many different manufacturers recommend different things. It's like a known problem. I don't know if it was Lennox or somebody was saying about the piping. I'm pretty sure they don't want you to just go straight out the wall. You know what I mean? They want
Carrier. He says you can install muffler for those problems. Carrier recommends. Carrier actually has for their Infinity Green Speed or whatever. They had like a fix out there that you needed to install like 36 inches of pipe with like a U bend in it,
right?
And then a muffler and all this different stuff to try to solve the problems of the. I think it was the variable speed compressor and the line set, or I don't know. It's some weird crap.
Cool.
I just remember reading about that on social media.
We just started this job. We put in a 20 SEER Bosch. That's one I was telling you about, where we're converting two systems into one. I was nervous as hell, dude, because I basically bid to do this job with all the ductwork above a finished ceiling without seeing what the ductwork even looks like. And I'm like, I'll figure it out. You know, we're getting it done though. So we'll see. This is going to be a pretty cool job. Heat pump, straight electric job.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. I'd be curious. I want to know how that 20 SEER works out for you, because I'm strongly considering a Bosch unit. So I even got my how crazy I am, all the user data for the Bosch stuff, and I've been reading up on like the installation, not even just the installation, but the unit requirements. And I'm looking at capacity loss and all kinds of different stuff. So we'll see.
But now that I think, you know, there was one time I remember a line set, the homeowner, I don't know what he did, but he insulated the shit of it, and he thought it would like dampen the noise. It actually made it worse because it actually made it travel. I remember something like that happening.
Sometimes if like the line says resting on like a stud or whatever, if the hole drilled right going through the wall.
Right. It's there's been problems. Even venting, expanding and contracting. If you don't have the right isolators or vibration holders, whatever you want to call it, you're screwed. If it's touching wood, it's gonna squeak. Anyways.
Did you guys see there's a new, sorry, we're boring you with all this technical or this work talk, Clive, but did you see that there's a new company out there that's got a new like PVC product for venting for like condensing furnaces? It's not like PVC though. It's, I don't know what it is. Is it a company called Centrotherm or something like that? I think so. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about it, and it's like this new weird looking piping for combustion venting for like condensing furnaces.
Is that the one where it has like the gaskets and there's no glue and they just kind of
something like that? Yeah. I just see it on Instagram. I don't know anything about them, but I see a lot of the influencers promoting
Jesus was asking if you thought about relocating your furnace yet, or
have I thought about relocating my furnace if I could? Yeah, I'm going back and forth. I mean, if I can keep it in the utility closet, I'm going to. Because I'm getting rid of a furnace and I'm going to go to a fan coil because I'm putting in a heat pump. So when I put in the fan coil, it is going to be significantly smaller because I'm not going to have a furnace and a coil. So if I can put in a very, very high quality air filter and put it all into that closet, I will. But there's a lot of things I'm considering. The fact that, you know, I hate the fact that my filter gets plugged up with hair. Well, if I move it to the ceiling, we're not going to have as much hair getting stuck in the filter, you know, as opposed to being down on the ground like it is. So there's a couple different things. But if I move it into the attic and I don't encapsulate my attic with spray foam, then I'm going to have to be worrying about heat infiltration into the unit. I'm going to have to insulate the hell out of it, you know, and it's going to suck. So there's a lot of variables.
I was at this one house the other day. I was in the attic, and I was just checking the ductwork. They spray foam the shit over, which I love. You could stand on it. You could stand on it. You could jump on it. It's so strong with a nice 2-pound spray foam. But anyways, I was looking what they did on the ceiling. Like, what do you call that again? The proper term between the house and the
Or joist.
The joist.
The joist. They put a thin layer of spray foam, but then they put the blow-in stuff on top.
Yeah.
You guys usually see it?
I've never seen that in an attic, but I actually was talking to an insulator. I just like tossed a job his way, and I was telling him I really want to air seal my house. I want to get the numbers down, blah blah blah. And he's like, you know, are you against spray foam? I'm like, no, not at all. He's like, well, we could just put a layer of spray foam all your joists, you know, thin layer of spray foam, and insulate over that, save you some money. Huh?
Yeah.
Mark Cotter says, have you ever worked on a unit with no metering device in it? He had a unit and he says it was a Goodman. Are you sure it didn't have a piston in it, bud? It had no metering device? I mean, if you had no metering device, I'm surprised your compressor was still alive.
Yeah.
And you had any cooling at all. There's got to be some sort of a metering device in there.
Well, maybe they didn't install it. Somebody forgot to put it in. He was
Maybe.
just, what did he say about the pressures? I missed that. You took it out.
He said 154 suction, 210 head pressure. I don't even know if your head pressure would be 210 if you had no metering device. I mean, you would be flooding back to your compressor. That's awfully high head pressure for no metering device. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I guess it's possible. I've seen pictures of that stuff, but I've personally never encountered it.
You're saying
Could it have been something like just like relying on a thin capillary tube or a fixed orifice or something like that?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I mean, that or maybe, I mean, we don't know all the details. Maybe someone didn't put it in, but yeah, maybe it was something you couldn't see. I don't know. But with that suction, your pressures are definitely out of whack for sure. But
everything HVAC, good to see you. He's seen, I found some makeup air with cooling installed with no metering device before. It don't work real well. I never seen it either.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good either.
Never seen a split system either. Flash and bat using closed cell foam, which is far better than open cell.
Howard Sharp says the Coke nose is getting worse. Am I rubbing my nose a lot? It means I need to trim my mustache.
Or our nose hairs.
Yeah, my nose hairs. That's a part of being old, and your nose hairs come out and they meet your mustache hairs.
Yeah.
They're literally rubbing my mustache hairs, and it's like,
Brother does blown in, and they add the R valley when they spray foam is first in the attic, for example. That would be huge. I wonder why though. Why the blown in stuff on top of the spray foam? Like, what is
it saves you money. You save money.
I don't think it's really needed, to be honest.
I mean, here's the thing. I kind of agree with you. I don't know how much. It depends on how thick the closed cell is, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much more is it gonna be to put an extra inch of closed cell if you're already putting it in there? It just seems silly. They've already got the machine out there.
If you're like, he was talking about putting 2 inches in mine, which is R14. That's going to do a good job of air sealing, right? But like, to do what code is, what is that code? R49. It's going to be substantial more money.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know,
we don't tend to use spray foam for insulation over here. It tends to just be sort of loose insulation. I've always wondered when they spray the closed cell stuff in, does it not trap moisture and potentially increase the risk of the wood rotting?
That's a very big.
There is talk about that, especially on the ceiling joists. I've heard guys talk about it. Even a roofer told me, or whatever.
Well, and just in some of my research on the spray foam, I haven't even gotten quotes yet, but I've gotten more emails and comments from people saying, check with your insurance company, check with your termite bond, right? Because I have a termite guarantee on my house because they did termite inspection a while back, and like some of those people will void your termite warranty. Your roof warranty, if you have one, might be voided. Your insurance company might not like it. It just depends. So there's a lot of variables. You gotta ask.
Why would termites want to come into a spray foam?
I have no idea.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense, but I think it's just a way for them to get away with things.
McCloy is saying, you guys ever fix line set vibration with a corked vibration pad placed between the suction line and the floor? of the AC near the service valves inside the outdoor unit. I have never done it, but it sounds like a good idea because the suction line. Yeah, I've heard of people put mufflers on suction line even. Worst case. But roofs never warranty their product anyway. Roofers never
That's a
warranty
good
the
point,
product
Ty.
anyway. Ty.
Honestly, though, like one of the things, again, there's so many variables that go into doing spray foam. I wouldn't do spray foam unless I replaced my roof because I'm due for a new roof. And it just seems silly to have them spray foam everything because I don't know if they're going to have to replace any of the sheeting because the roof is 25 years old. So it's like, well, if they put spray foam in there, then it's going to be damn near impossible to do that work. So it seems like, you would want to do the roof first.
This is like what I run into with every project at my house.
You just end up not doing it.
Yeah, because it's, my wife's let's do the siding. Well, if we do the siding, the front porch is, sagging, and we have to bust out the front stoop and the walkway, and we got to do the cements.
Yep.
If we do the siding, the back deck is kind of rotted, so we might as well pull down the deck, do the siding, and then rebuild the deck. And it like turns into a snowball effect.
And this is my life. This is how everything. And this is what I was asking about earlier. This is how my head works. My wife is like, well, let's just do this. And it's not just as simple as doing that because the thought process that goes into all the different things. Like I'm getting ready to redo my backyard. And in my head, I might put solar panels on my back hill someday. So it's like, okay, I'm going to run new conduit and have it under there before I do the backyard. That way it's there, and like, I think so much through everything, trying to overplan everything.
But Jill's probably she gets pissed off about it, right?
She's extremely pissed. And she's also pissed off that I haven't built a pool yet. And I told her I would never build a fucking pool. It's a waste of money. I told her the other day, this is what we got into a fight about. She's like, we need to build a pool because we'll use it all the time. And I'm like the freaking trampoline that I bought that sits in the backyard that nobody uses. So
this is like a conversation for the Cooler Heads podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, that could shift over there. Yeah, thanks.
Getting back to the spray foam in the attic thing, I suppose if you put enough up, then the roof could just rot away and you'd have a foam roof.
There you go.
So you wouldn't need tiles or anything like that anymore.
True.
It's also interesting in talking with Steve Rogers from the Energy Conservatory and talking with a few different people, Michael Hausch and, different people about my house project and how much spray foam changes things and can potentially increase your load on your house too, because you're adding more conditioned space to the house technically. And it's really interesting how all that stuff ties together when you start looking into the whole building science side.
For sure.
I wonder if you can spray foam gardens because that would make maintenance really easy.
Spray foam a garden? What is my dog doing? That is my junk, dude.
Spray foam a garden.
Don't do that.
That's what happens. You rub peanut butter in your junk.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on down here?
You wear no shorts.
Yeah.
What was that picture you're talking about, Adam? Or else I'm going to talk about my screw up if you don't have your picture of your install.
I'll show you. No, it's embarrassing. And I'll tell you, this was a cheap, low budget install.
All right.
And there was like the only thing I could have done differently is I could have fixed the gas line to the furnace, but it was like one of those, I need this as cheap as possible. So hey, let me show you.
You have a picture? Okay.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Everybody make fun of Adam.
Yes, guys, get ready.
This is embarrassing.
Because he does amazing work, but sometimes you just gotta laugh at him. You gotta bring him back down.
I'm trying to read the note. What's the
There
note?
you go. Let me
zoom in. There you go.
How do I zoom into the top?
Bob, I hope there's bagels in the laundry room.
The whole house, every spot where there's gas, they just had this there's a regulator.
Yeah.
And then there is a T, and they have this gas flex everywhere. And then the ducts, they have duct board in the attic. And the only way I could tell is because they're like flipping this house.
Okay.
And you could see the registers are down. So they have duct board registers and that. Yeah. And then this room is a menagerie. There was no fixing this room whatsoever. It's so freaking tight in there.
That is tight.
And the installers just stubbed round pipe like all over in the room. And it's like all different directions. It's not like the returns are on one side and the supplies are on the other. It's like a return over here, supply. And you can't get it. You can't hard pipe it. It's impossible. They put no thought process into this. The only way to do it would be to like rip up the ceiling and that and try to reconfigure things,
Right.
So I just left the flex, sealed it up, and call it a day.
It looks very futuristic. It's like a spaceship's like warp reactor.
So
Yeah, I know. You actually don't need a trap R134.
HVAC, I don't know how you pronounce your name, says fuck all this energy conservation shit. Somehow
It's opinions.
shit just worked fine in the 80s. Well, yeah,
It would
I
work.
would say that stuff did work in the 80s, but it wasn't efficient. It cooled. It didn't do what it was supposed to do, but your houses were so leaky, and everything's changed inevitably. And as much as it's a burden because we have to change the way we're doing things, it's inevitable that things are going to change. And we need to embrace change. If you don't embrace change, and this is fine, if you don't want to change, that's cool, but you're getting left behind. It's becoming national. So
sometimes I wonder, some of these like modern updates, you know, they make things less polluting and stuff like that, but they make them more complex in the process. And it makes me wonder, for all the energy you save through these economy type things, does it end up costing you more getting it serviced or number of breakdowns?
I've thought about that. Yeah.
There's a few things I would have to agree with Clive on that.
And not just costing you more, all the energy that you're saving and the, you know, your carbon footprint. Are you really lowering the carbon footprint? If you have like a cheap basic furnace, right, and it just doesn't break, and there's minor problems you might have here or there, but then you have like some complicated modulating furnace and you have all these issues with it, and you have to roll a service truck back and forth. You have to have the thing maintained constantly, you know, to have it not break down. Doesn't that count in the carbon footprint?
I would agree with you guys on that. There's definitely some things that it seems like, yeah, this is overcomplicated. But the way that I look at it is it is overcomplicated, but it is what it is. And we can sit here and complain and say, oh, it was better back then. Sure, it might have been, but it's not anymore. You know, it's just, it is what it is. We got to learn to deal with it. I mean, much smarter people than us have made decisions and just roll with the punches.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm half and half. I don't know. I just do what I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that, to be honest. But it's a fine line there, and it's just something that I'm just caught in between on both aspects and different scenarios, I guess. But anyways, there was a screw up I did the other day. Proud to admit it, because it happens, and you have to know where it's screwing up. I did a huge job. I think I might have posted the picture. It's a huge job. I had all these stub outs for my Hydronics. From all these takeoffs, and then near the end I had a huge snowmelt pump, and I was starting up. I ran all my lines. I took all the air as much as I can with the pump, blah blah blah, and then I went to go start it up, and I wasn't getting heat on my loop, my snowmelt loop. And what I do before every job is I draw it out, right? And I guess the way I drew it out, it was flipped. So what I did is, that was the last thing on my manifold. I closed my manifold on that side. I didn't close it on the boiler side. So what was happening is when I started up, I was like, why am I not getting no heat? Well, I was short cycling, and I was just playing with some, and I'm like, yeah, that has to be it. So what I was doing is, obviously it's gonna go wherever it's easier. And on my snowmelt loop was just doing a loop instead of going all the way around. Why would it go all the way around back to my boiler this way? Because it was closed there, when it could just go like this, right? And it was a screw up, and it was tight in the corner. It was 2.5-inch pipe, unsweating, cutting, and just because you screw up. So what I did is I just opened it on that end. I put the return straight to the return, and it's forced to go back through the boiler. And I closed it on the other side where the boilers were. But it's just something I wanted to share because it happens, and I just try to catch it. That's all. I was like wondering, what the hell's going on here? Why am I getting no heat?
But anyways, I mean, we all make mistakes. It's how we grow from them and learn from them.
That's right.
As long as you don't keep making the mistake over and over and over and over again.
And I wouldn't have, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, Chris. And I wouldn't have done that, but it's weird how it just, you look at it and you see it and you just don't even realize, and you draw it out, and then until you do the startup is when you see, oh shit, why did I do this? So it's crazy.
Jonathan Hughes said, much smarter people is a debatable subject. I know I'm being sarcastic. if you didn't sense the sarcasm there.
PCB, there's a lot of things, questions.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, the way that I'm looking at it is there's all kinds of changes coming, and you know, robots are going to be replacing a lot of things, and someone still needs to fix the robots. So,
Right.
hey, you know what? I mean, we're mechanical trades. We're still going to be employed. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
They put smart air conditioners that use sensors to tell you when things are failing, but someone still has to go out there and change the sensor when it fails, because they all fail. So
They're doing their
yeah. Go ahead.
They are doing their best here to basically cheapen that, though. They're trying to de-skill it by basically, well, you're talking about the self-diagnostics and stuff like that, but they're also pushing through, I've mentioned this in the past, the sort of 1 day, 1 week slideshow presentations here of the instant crash training of labor.
Yeah.
So, you know, there will be technical people working in the future, but you're going to end up with a few geeks, and then most of the workforce is just going to be crash trained on demand.
And that's kind of already happening with our local, especially with the for-profit trade schools where they train skilled technicians and stuff, because they pump these kids out of school in 3 months. You're certified to work in air conditioning and refrigeration. You went through a 3-month program, when that doesn't teach you anything. But it's happening. And what we're starting to see is people making really simple mistakes that lead to catastrophic failures. You know, you're putting your service gauges on something that tells you the pressures in the system, and you're using a set of digital gauges, but you didn't make sure that the digital gauges were zeroed out to atmosphere before you put them on the system. So they had pressure in them, and then you put them on there and they weren't accurate, you know, or they didn't have pressure, but they drifted, you know, so they said they had pressure. And so your numbers are incorrect. And, you know, people not knowing how to use a voltage meter. So there's always going to be a need for someone that can do extensive troubleshooting, that can go in and fix the problems that the normal person can.
But I was kind of thinking about like Measure Quick. Like if you can create a company where you basically train people on how to deploy the probes, right? And that's like basically it. And then like let Measure Quick take over and do the diagnostics for the, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, they're already doing that, right? Because if you don't already know, if you look in there, if you watch some of Jim's videos, he's already custom tailoring Measure Quick for some of the biggest air conditioning companies in the country. They have their own version of Measure Quick. And it's basically so the sales technicians that know nothing about what they're doing can literally go out to the job and just put this, and then someone in the office can pull up Measure Quick on remote diagnostics and say, here's your problem, sell them a new whatever. But even that's not working, because Measure Quick can be very easily tricked, very easily. Like just swap the liquid line and the discharge line. Measure Quick doesn't say something's majorly wrong, stop what you're doing. It just gives you an incorrect number.
Right.
That's all it does. And so it can lead you down a path of whatever. Or, you know, he's got a 2-stage package unit and he flip-flopped the liquid and the suction line, you know, I mean, on the 2 different compressors. And so you're getting incorrect readings. So there's always going to be a need for someone who knows what they're doing to go out there and solve the problems. And usually the person that flip-flopped those things and screwed everything up went and changed 15 parts and it still didn't work. And then now you get to come in and be the hero and be like, oh yeah, I know what you did wrong. You know,
when Tesla came out with that HVAC system, honestly, I was kind of excited. Like we're gonna have to learn a new thing, and it seems so interesting. But I'm wondering if it's gonna bring other trade, like electricians, more involved into the trade as well.
It's not out yet, right?
No, I don't.
I didn't even know about this Tesla.
Yeah,
HVAC system.
You're gonna love this. I think it's a magnetics, right? It's on like.
Well, aren't they just taking their existing HVAC system in the cars and making it bigger? Isn't that what they're doing or something? I haven't read a lot about it.
Surprised.
Yeah.
But
I think that what's going to happen is they're going to have their own certified people that are only allowed to work on it. They're going to make it like a proprietary thing.
That won't work.
You know what? None of this stuff even bothers me, because it's so out of reach and it's so far away before any of that even happens. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah, and you know what? When it does, we should embrace the change, guys. We're gonna learn something new, and we're gonna be fixing it. I want to shout out to Albert, Echoes, and Caden. You're getting so much love in chat, Chris. One of them saying you're a hero. The other one saying he's writing a paper on you, dude. You are just getting the love tonight. Okay?
Chris, you are a hero. You are.
And Clive, you got the love earlier, so that's why.
Oh, right. Okay, that's okay then. I was feeling left out there.
Yeah, you got the love earlier as soon as you came on.
Are you writing a case study on freaking bipolar disorder and all kinds of weird problems?
No,
His
he's right how
paper is
great you
called.
are.
This paper is called "Chris is a Spastic."
Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
I can't disagree
felt,
with that.
you know, I just wanted to embody Bill here and come out with something inappropriate. So that's the Bill moment.
That's perfect.
Zach was like, I thought Tesla was making PTAC units essentially. I hope
I
not.
don't
They're not
know.
gonna waste their time on those.
I'm not even, dude. Tesla can't even release the Cybertruck, so they ain't coming out with an air conditioner for another 40 years.
You have
so.
to wait for your
wonder-
car like a half a year. Anyways,
I want to know what's special about this new Tesla one. Is it very different, or is it
Yeah,
using
very
some
different.
different technology?
I
Is
think
it like
it's using magnetic to create something. I don't know.
I
I have
think
no
I
idea.
saw an interview a long time ago with Elon Musk, and he was basically saying like, we're going to make the heating and air conditioning way more efficient and way more, comfortable or whatever for your home. But I think he's trying to like grab every aspect of your house and like electricity, right? So you bring in, you have your solar panels, you charge your car, you have your batteries. What's your biggest draw in your house? Air conditioning.
Yeah.
Get all of it.
There's a lot of stuff to be said about reusing energy. There's a lot of wasted energy in our homes. There's a lot of things we could do that I'm sure, but I don't know if it's practical to think that you're going to reinvent existing homes. I think it's more practical to think that some revolutionary air conditioning system, whole house system is going to work on a new build.
He says, Chris says we're wasting a lot of energy in our homes. This comes from the guy that told me to run his load with his door open.
Yeah.
Jason
Which door, though?
Johnson.
Which one?
The garage door.
Oh yeah, well, because I wanted to see difference. I wanted to see how much of a difference it was.
Load. Jason Johnson saying one of his techs quit and started working at the Tesla factory here in Austin.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
I know Clive's going to investigate. Clive, can you do us a favor? Can you look into this, please?
I just did a quick search there. Nothing obvious came up. I shall
of
investigate this later on.
Yes.
But keep in mind things like, like the compressor-based dehumidifiers. I thought nothing was really going to change about those because they're super efficient. But here I keep my house cold in the winter because I prefer the cold. And the compressor-based dehumidifiers don't work. So I use the Desiccant drum dehumidifiers. And they're so completely radically different, but they're just as efficient. They're actually very good, and they do pull out a lot of water.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that Desiccant. Yeah,
I didn't know they had those. Something that you could use in a residential.
Yeah, they have little systems.
Do you want to see the inside of one right now? I could go and grab.
Yeah,
hold on. I'll go and grab the chassis of one and show you.
Small far. Hey, Big Clive, will distilling vodka take the sugar out of it? He'll answer that for sure. He distilled vodka. He distilled so many things. Wine. Question: what is the best way to build yourself up? I'm thinking start in Resi install, then Resi service, then commercial install, then commercial service with industrial. Would that be the proper way?
It depends on you. I mean, it really does. It depends on where you want to go with this trade. Do you want to learn the basics all the way up? Then sure, that sounds good, but
can't stall either. You have to don't get into a rut. You got to keep pushing forward and don't rely on other people to you're not going to magically absorb shit into your head. It's not going to happen. You got to go out and get the information, right?
Right.
Yep.
100%.
So here is a Desiccant drum dehumidifier. This is the whole chassis inside. If you take a lot of the modern ones apart, you'll find the same chassis inside them.
So it starts
off
chassis.
What chassis, monsieur.
Chassis.
Yes, it's pronounced differently from different countries. But chassis, if you want, but it's chassis. The air is pulled in across a plastic condenser, which is one of the weirdest bits to start off with. The air then passes through. I don't know if you're going to see this in here, but there's a drum of material at the back here. And it looks like corrugated cardboard, but wound round in a spiral to make a big drum of it. And it rotates, and it's covered in zeolite desiccant. Let's see if I can actually angle this so you can see that drum in there. Yeah, you can kind of see the drum in there. And it rotates. It's got a motor that rotates it. So you get the fan motor, you get the motor that rotates the desiccant drum layer, and then you've got a heater section. So as it rotates, it goes through, the drum actually passes through the heated section, which is a closed loop, passing air across a heating element, and then this is another motor again. It's that little mini blower motor. So it's continually circulating air through this condenser and through that sort of the desiccant drum, so that the heat drives the moisture out that is then recondensed and drips out the bottom. But the thing is that they're still in their early days and they've had lots of problems. Notably, this is the motor for the hot air path. They tend to they don't seem to understand the concept of water draining and slime and how it builds up and blocks ports. So these things have tiny little ports in this tiny little drip tray here, the little sort of sump that drips the water out. This thing clogs up, the water backs up, the motor fails, or it actually circulates water over the heating element. They're very prone to problems.
I wonder how many grains it does. No, I'm just thinking to myself, I wonder, because RJ was saying can it remove several gallons an hour? I doubt it. I wonder how much grains it does remove an hour, that little thing.
Yeah, what's that? Then rated in pints or something?
You know, well, I've got one in my bedroom that when it's running, you can hear the water dripping out. It literally going drip, 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 drip. It takes out a fair rate. It's pretty good. But they won't last as long as a compressor one.
Yeah. Started one night out of a high school and still work there in this day. Anyways, people are saying about a lot of people think you got to do residential before commercial.
You don't necessarily. I mean, you can start out. It just depends. I mean, there's plenty of guys that are starting on the supermarket side. They're starting everywhere. Ironically, like I've never done residential. I started in light commercial, and that's all I've ever done. But I'm kind of interested by residential. I don't want my company to become a residential company, but I'm interested in like the more complex stuff. It's just, I'm intrigued, you know. I'm also intrigued by the bigger stuff, you know. I don't know that I'll ever do it on a professional level, but I just like to learn.
Thanks, Clive, for showing that. And Brett is saying the heat regenerates the desiccant. Yeah, makes the most sense. Yeah, that was awesome, Clive.
Makes sense.
How long have you been using that style, Clive?
I've been using it for a while, and I've damaged some. Some have worn out, and it's been silly things. It's like the teething problems. For instance, one of them, the earliest ones, it failed because the little motor, and it's a tiny little synchronous motor like your microwave turntable motor that drives a desiccant drum. It just ground its bearing into mince. It was like literally elliptical, the bearing. It had just ground until the teeth didn't make anymore. Just silly things like that. But the heating system, the heaters often failed in them as well because of the continuous moisture around them. But they've evolved that.
How approximately how much do those cost new?
These are about £150 for a little domestic one, which is probably about best part $200.
Not bad.
It's pretty similar. I'm not sure how costs are with you, but it's pretty similar to a compressor-based dehumidifier.
I'd be curious. I'm curious how much it actually does. I'd like to see the specs on it.
Yeah.
You know how big of a unit you need for a house in the South.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. One of the major advantages is it will work down to 0 degrees. It will literally work down to there's no moisture in the air. It doesn't need that sort of ambient temperature. Like the compressor ones tend to go through their defrost cycle continually. Right. Because they can't really handle the lower temperatures. Also, I wondered how the desiccant drum would deal with being dried out and then rehumidified and then dried out in a continuous cycle. So I took an energy reading off it, and then I tested one after several years of use. It was identical. It hadn't lost any efficiency at all.
No funny smells or anything coming from it?
It does actually make smells, but it does so in an odd way. It takes impurities out there, and then when it runs, it gives a burst of that, a concentrated burst. So you get a strange dusty smell, but it's actually the smell of your house just amplified briefly, just as it kicks in. It's quite odd. But other than that, there's no smell. And what it puts out, it's electric. You can choose between typically about 300 watts or 600 watts, depending on the setting. I forgot what I was saying there.
That's all right.
Let me think.
Brad was saying
we're talking about the
300 watts, 600 watts. Oh, it blows out warm air. So in winter, it's actually putting out a fair amount of warm, dry air into the room as well. So it's almost like a low power electric heater as well.
RJ, I agree with that. Great in the northern Europe where it's cool at night, even in the summer. I agree.
Mm.
Well, Clive, you don't use your heat for the most part, right? Or
I
you keep
don't.
it very low.
Yeah.
But in summer, I use compressor-based dehumidifiers. In winter, I use the Desiccant drum. I use both. Each is better suited to the particular temperature.
Minky
Mickey
Moo
Moo, I
too.
appreciate that.
Bill is in his van down by the river. He's homeless now, and
Yeah.
he just couldn't make it to the show because he doesn't have internet service where he's at.
Yeah.
So he has one of those free cell phones that the homeless people have, and it doesn't have very good like 4G service. So that's why.
4G, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Now Bill will be back. He's just transitioning to a female.
Yeah,
and,
I knew you were, that was a good laugh. Thanks. I knew you were gonna say that. Why did I know you were gonna say that, dude?
Are we not supposed to talk about where Bill is?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just say he's homeless because that's what he said in the chat.
I mean,
I don't know if people need to know that he's literally in
homeless.
witness protection or what. I don't know. Just think of cool stories to tell about him.
I just worked on 2 Aeon does with Aeon units with 2
DOAS
Enthalpy
units.
Yeah, DOAS.
Dedicated outside air units.
Nice, thank you.
Is the Enthalpy wheel as opposed to the Desiccant drum?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Is it the same thing? It's not just the heat recovery thing, is it?
It's using
know.
Desiccant to do that.
It's
carry
using
that.
Oh, right.
Yeah. They have them in a lot of commercial air conditioners. It's an enthalpy wheel that'll rotate around and it transfers the energy while removing the moisture.
Yeah. Bill right now is paying for a hotel by the hour.
Bill has lowercase g service. He sends a pigeon to communicate with people. That's about right.
So
That's
someone
fun.
mentioned the heat wave there. Unfortunately, the 2 hardest days of the year for me was the peak of the heat wave.
Yeah,
It was
had
initial loading for sure.
this heat wave this summer just killed us. And you know, the interesting thing was we didn't have a very crazy summer. Like it wasn't too bad for us in Southern California. It was moderate, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, not too bad. But then we hit about 110, 112 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was just overwhelming everything. Like it was just bad. And it was only about 3 weeks, but it just killed us. And we're still trying to catch up from it. And the temperatures have already dropped. We're already transitioning into our fall weather. So
Morgan was saying, and Parker was right. What's the difference between what do you say, heat pump and a straight AC in layman's terms?
Morgan, straight air conditioner takes the heat from the refrigerant and the indoor space and rejects it outside. Okay. It takes the heat from the inside and then takes it through the refrigerant pipes and rejects it outside. A heat pump does the opposite. And it can switch between the two.
Yeah.
So instead of rejecting the heat outside, a heat pump rejects the heat inside, which heats your house when you want it to. It's with the changeover, just a little valve that does it. So a heat pump has the ability to cool and or heat your house, depending on what you want. And it just reverses the refrigerant flow.
Clive, thanks, Chris. Clive, Smallfire was asking, if you distill vodka, does it take out the, what do you say, the sugar? Yeah.
I did actually reply to that, but
Okay.
yes, it does. If you put it through a distiller, it takes everything out. All you get through is the alcohol.
Nice. There you go. Sorry. I'm looking out
No,
for
it's
you, Smallfire. Yeah, no problem.
Cool.
Thank you, he says. That was pretty layman's terms. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, I say it's time to wrap this thing up.
It's been a good one, guys.
It has been a good one.
And Clive's awesome for coming in.
It has been.
Always a pleasure.
Yep.
Actually, we should post Clive's, sorry, I didn't do it. Anybody's wondering, Clive's YouTube channel.
Yeah, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know who Clive is.
There's 2 channels. There's bigclive.com, which is the main channel, but also Big Clive Live, which is the live stream channel.
That's right. Let me post this one. And there's a few others people in chat as well, guys. Ty Brenneman.
Ty is a good friend of the show.
Yeah, that is awesome. His videos are amazing.
That's Bill's. Who else was here before? Can't remember. But anyways, yeah.
I didn't queue up the music, so it's gonna be loud. Is that okay, or should we just
loud for a second, right?
blow people's ears off.
Yeah, at least warn
1, 2,
people.
3. Pull your headphones away from your head and
Yeah.
push the button.
Thanks, Howard.
There you go. Sponsored by the Teletubbies.
Let her rip.
Remember
Has
when we were
anybody
gonna-
ever read the entire closing credits?
We need to
I've never-
change it.
I've never
They're-
read the entire closing credits.
They're
Wow.
distracted by our conversation over the closing credits.
Right.
That is true.
We forgot to say hello to Luke and his
Uh-huh.
buddy
Oh,
Randy.
Randy. And he's going to be watching us tomorrow morning, he says, because he's in bed right now.
Oh, okay.
And RJ Parker is saying no electronics, Clive. I think next time we get him on, RJ, when we're prepared, for sure we're going to like dissect his brain about electrical stuff. For sure.
And Small Fry, if I was president, it'd be like mass executions of bankers and stuff like that and lawyers. So probably not a good idea.
Oh,
Maybe it would be a good idea.
it might be a good idea.
Hmm.
Might be a good idea. New World Order kind of stuff.
What you guys were saying about robots earlier and how they've made life easier. I remember Tomorrow's World, a BBC program in the past, saying, in the future, and it showed someone in a sound lounger and it said, in the future, robots will do all the work and we have loads of time. What they didn't mention was that we wouldn't be getting paid and we'd be unemployed.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
And there'd
that's
be no
the-
money.
That's what they haven't figured out yet. I don't let this stuff get to me. There's so many different holes and people get so angry about it. And I'm just like, this isn't coming anytime soon. So let's just not stress about it. Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Brett said he posted something in our Facebook group for the Desiccant unit, and Ty was thanking us. No problem, buddy. And Osvaldo Costa, good to see you. We should get Big Clive and Advanced Refrigeration together on a podcast to blow our brains out. That'll be cool.
Mhm.
You should get together.
This is where I worry about the American and British different terminology and systems
I
for
knew you were
electrical
going to
stuff
say that.
because it's so wildly different.
Yeah.
You know, literally, our electrical system, I can describe it as, well, it's supposed to be European now, 230, 400, but our system is 3-phase, 240, 415. That is it. You've got the 3 phases, 415 between 2 phases, 240 to neutral. That is it. If you're a house, you get 1 phase. If you're a factory, you get 3. That's our electrical system, not all these different lighting voltages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your system is really complex.
It's complex. And then you also have the old systems too. So
Right.
we have 115 volts, you have, or 120 volts, whatever you want to call it. And obviously we're on 60 hertz, but then you have 208 volts, depending on how the transformers are tapped, 240 volts,
40,
480.
277.
Yep, 277, bigger.
For
Then you can get
lighting.
on some of the legacy systems where you get like a delta transformers. You can get the weird ones where you get the old
right on.
corner grounded delta
Corner
system.
grounded, yep, where
That's
one of the
confusing.
phases reads 0.
That'll scare the crap. That the first time I saw a corner grounded delta, I called my electrician friend and I was like, dude, something is going on here. And he's like,
No.
measure for me. And I measured and he goes, oh, okay. And he explained it to me and my mind was blown. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
I don't even think we've got that here, corner grounded
It's-
delta.
It's so confusing. You're just like, you measure and you're like, wait, I have 3-phase power measured phase to phase, but 1 leg to ground is 0. What is that? That just, yeah, that one. I was like
sneaker one.
scared when it happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I measuring? What is going on here?
We should talk about that one day again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be confusing.
Yeah.
But anyways, right on. Well, thanks everybody.
Yeah. For sure.
Until next time.
Toodles.